So, my friend, I am thinking of facilitating some kind of workshop or something where the topic is, particularly for guys, as they relate to girls, how to be less creepy, or to ideally not be creepy. Now, you shared, what do you do when you might be walking at night and there's a female by herself in front of you alone?
So the specific instance that we were talking about earlier, she's walking down the sidewalk, I'm walking in the same direction, I'm walking faster than her. It's late at night, probably like after midnight, no one else around. It's kind of rude to just pass her, because most likely she's going to be uncomfortable with that. So the polite thing to do, cross the road, just go up the other side. In my town, some roads have a sidewalk on both sides, some don't. Either way, it's politer for me to do the crossing over, because I've had multiple times where I didn't cross over soon enough, she got uncomfortable enough that she crossed over. That just seems forcing her to cross a road so I can pass.
So for anyone who might not be tracking, why can't you just stay on the same side? What would make her want to move, or what's behind this whole situation? Why would she be uncomfortable?
I don't know specifically why, but any number of things. I mean, it's late at night, a guy maybe in a hoodie, dark out. I mean, there's probably some fear level of, who is this? Why am I getting closer to her? Stuff like that.
So how, for any guys that don't seem to know this kind of thing, how do you know this?
I'm not sure. It just seems general politeness that I should cross over to make her feel more comfortable rather than her having to cross the street. I mean, it just seems rude to force her to cross the street just because she's uncomfortable with me passing her.
Well, however you know it, I'm glad you do, and whoever doesn't know it, I hope you take note. Now, let's say, you're very involved in the community, and you often are at events putting things away and whatnot. Let's say you had a friend that you worked with primarily, and you got along well with them, and their cousin was helping out for the day, and you were putting away tents together with this cousin, and then because of the small amount of conversation you had during that time, they decide to call you, text you, email you every day, sometimes multiple times a day, without ever saying anything like, oh, hey, thanks for your help, that was great. Or anything like, hey, I had fun talking with you, would you like to go for a walk? Or would you like to try this new restaurant in town? Or can you give me a ride to this place? So you have no idea why they're contacting, and you definitely did not invite them to contact. Mm-hmm. They did not ask you, hey, do you mind if I contact you regularly? And it gets to the point where they might be calling you so many times that it's interrupting your workflow, and we know how busy you are. So how might you handle a scenario like that? Because it's a little more complicated than a random person off the street, since they're connected with this person you are friendly with.
Yeah. In the case of a random person, obviously that's the easiest. You can just block them. Tell them straight up to stop contacting you. In the case where there's that third person, that friendship that's making it a little more challenging. It depends on a lot of the pieces of that scenario that are really hard to go into in one of these imaginary situations. So if it's like a relative of one of the primary people that I do work with, I'll just go straight to that person and ask them, hey, what's up with your cousin? This seems a little weird, and hopefully they can give me some feedback into just how weird the cousin is.
Like maybe they had a lobotomy, maybe there's a reason for it. I'll talk to them.
And even if they don't have something specific, maybe I can glean enough information to change how I respond to the person, and then I can either reach out to them directly or ignore them if I want.
So now, let's say you ignore them, and you try blocking them, and they just find somehow new ways of contacting you. Or in your case,
Yep.
they start contacting your relatives. You get to the point
Or
where
show up at my house.
you get to the point where you realize you have to confront them. What types of things might you say to them?
I've never actually had to deal with anything that extreme, thankfully. Lucky me. So what would I say? I'd probably come up with something along the lines of, I'm really busy. I don't. I don't know. I want to be polite, but make it clear that I don't want them, whatever we call this attention, this constant contacting. So something along the lines that I'm really busy and it's their contacting me isn't appreciated. I probably keep it pretty low key at first. If they don't respond well to that, either I'm gonna guess they're either gonna get mad about something when I respond like that, or they're just gonna keep blowing up my phone or whatever it is that they're doing to reach me. In which case I'm gonna have to go in a little harder with it and say, look, stop contacting me. I don't want this. In some ways that would be hard. If someone really was trying to contact me just because I'm out in the community so much, they can pretty well track where I'm going to be, at events and meetings and all, and they can just show up. And if it's a public event or a public meeting, I can't throw them out from a public festival because I don't appreciate them being there.
You can always hand them a heavy box and tell them where to schlep it.
True. I mean, we do know that they're workers, so we can just work them hard enough that they decide they don't want to be around anymore.
And so, I mean, this question is kind of related, but let's say someone had a request for you. Like, let's say maybe it's even the same person, and they say they have a request. They know you're good with cars. Hey, my car's been doing this weird thing. Can you look at it and fix it for an hour? And you know that you're not available for this. You're not interested in this. You're not willing to do this. How would you answer them?
The easiest way I've found to deal with that is to pass them off and make them someone else's problem. Either with recommending a shop. So, now it's their problem money-wise and the shop's problem fixing-wise. Or, if I think it's a money issue and that's why they're asking me to work on their vehicle, I can also make recommendations that I know they're not really viable, but it gets the person off of me because I do have a hard time saying no directly. So I can push them to go talk to the technical college because they do repair vehicles, and they do. It's just it might be a 2-year wait list before they get your vehicle in the door, so it may not be viable for them to actually get their vehicle fixed that way, but maybe it gets rid of them for now, and they're gonna have to think about it twice before they come back and ask me the same thing again.
So let's say for whatever reason they do a whole, but I trust you in a way that they
don't trust the high school kid that's
so
just
if it gets down to where you have to answer them specifically, what kinds of things would you say?
A lot of it's going to be dependent on how upset they make me, how they're approaching it, how they're talking, the general feel that I get off of them, how well they worked when they worked with me. I mean, if someone works really hard with me, it's going to be a lot harder for me to say no than if they worked with me and they were a lazy bum and they were stealing stuff and my working with them has set a certain level of relationship based off of how they worked, and so that's going to obviously impact how I respond. So as to specifics on that, I mean, I have come outright to people that are asking me for stuff that I couldn't do, and then I had to tell them, no, I'm busy. I can't do that for you. I think in every case I was able to point them in general directions of, I don't have time for that, but find a high school kid that can watch your child, or hire a babysitter, or find another parent that has kids similar age and you can watch them part-time and they can watch them part-time. So,
well, that kind of addresses another...
trying to be friendly and diplomatic in that, but still say, no, it's not my responsibility for whatever it is that you need.
That sounds like a good response where you're trying to be helpful, but you're also not indicating in any way that you are open or available to this.
Mm-hmm.
One example I thought of is, let's say they're going away for a month and they want you to watch their cat, and you are allergic to cats. That's not negotiable. That's not...
I'm not allergic to cats, but my cats would not want me playing with their cats. So.
Well, some scenario in which they ask something of you where you're definitely not doing it. It's not like if you get a free hour, you can work on their car. It's like there's nothing about it you're willing, so thinking of examples of where they could go, that's helpful. But how do you say the actual no part?
Pretty much everyone in the community knows that I am extremely busy, overbooked, and already committed to too much stuff. Some people know it so much that they don't even ask me for stuff because they already know just from meeting me that I will not be able to say yes. But
for those clueless folks who don't get it,
then I can kindly inform them that I'm very busy between work and all the different nonprofits that I work with, and I literally don't have time to help them.
So it sounds like most of your no revolves around your lack of time. Do you ever just say...
I do tend to use that as an excuse.
Some of my communities have said things like, I'm not available for that, I'm not interested in that, that's a no for me, or I'm a no to that.
I struggle a lot with saying no, so I tend to skirt it with, I'm too busy, or here's some other options that you might be able to use, or...
If you could wave a magic wand and just be one of the world experts in boundaries and saying no, would you have a desire to be able to just say no?
Yes. so someday, hopefully, I will reach that pinnacle of boundaries where I can say no and not give any explanation, it's your problem, it's not mine. You can think of going to the technical high school. You probably went to high school. You probably know someone that went to the technical high school. We're a small town, so.
Not taking on other people's emotions and realizing what's theirs is theirs, what's mine is mine, and you could be a brother's keeper, but you don't have to be taking over your whole brother's life and responsible for everything. So may we all get to the point where we can happily and confidently say no while still loving people and caring about their well-being, and not saying no because of laziness or just never caring about people, but saying a loving no because we're loving them and especially loving ourselves and our own time and domain. And
saying no and meaning it, saying yes and meaning it.
Exactly.
And never saying no when you don't mean it and saying yes when you don't mean it.
So may we be more honest to each other and to ourselves. And with that, we thank you for listening, and peace be with you.
Good night.